So, another garden update, another garden revelation, I guess you could say. Let's go check on the beans from my experiment. So, as you can see, it's doing great. Like these two pots on the end are doing a lot better than the others, but despite like all the varying water times, amounts, and frequency, and well, we did have a slight mishap where my son decided to knock all of them over. We did our best to put back the equal amount of seeds, but even still, like, this is one that gets watered every day, so I was trying to intentionally overwater it, but it's still doing great. Well, great is a loose word. It's still doing good. It's doing way better than the stuff in the ground. And this is once a day, varying times. And here's twice a day, varying times. Or not twice a day, every other day, sorry. Obviously these have been doing better than those three, and these have been doing better than this one. But despite all of it, these are still growing and they're not dying back. So despite my efforts still of making sure I'm watering now. This sunflower and that tomato plant is the only thing that's growing. And I have this one bean plant that was planted about a month ago. More than that. Month and a half. Either way, it's like the same size as everything I planted a week and a half ago. Or 2 weeks ago. So, we're, again, I'm scratching my head, like, you know, I'm like getting down in the dirt, sticking my finger in the dirt, checking to see how far everything is watered. If it needs to be watered more, I water it more. If it's already wet, I pull it back. Like, so, one thing Jeff pointed out is, he's like, Allie, you see everything? Nothing's growing. Like, duh, babe, nothing's growing. That's what I'm sad about. And he's like, no, not even weeds are growing. Which, if you see, in the areas we didn't tend to, like here's a weed, like a weed, weeds. The areas we didn't dig up, sift out, add the wood chips and some mulch or whatever, those areas are doing fine. Like, I didn't even water the flowers this year, and they still bloomed and were still going great. Like, here are these daisies. These daisies are on their way out, obviously, but there's still some that are in bloom. And I never watered them. Like, not once. And they're doing way better than everything that I'm babying and watering every day. So, Jeff's theory, and he could be right, is that something we added to the garden is killing all the plants. Or all the seeds, rather. Because, you know, we took the wood chips, this is the leftover wood chips from behind the fence. We replaced it with the rock that we dug up in these areas, and we put the wood chips in the dirt instead, and has composted dirt from how long the wood chips sat there. But I thought they were fine because they have a weed tar mat, whatever, underneath it. And I was like, okay, well, tar mat, weed killer mat, shade cloth, I don't know what you want to call it. And then they put a ton of wood chips on top of it. Like, it should be fine, right? Like, no weed killer necessary. Well, Jeff thinks that they still put weed killer down just to be overly cautious, and that we just put that into our soil. So, not 100% sure if that's the case or not, but to confirm or deny or make our heads scratch even more, we're gonna do another experiment. So here's another flower bed that the previous owner of the house made. So as you can see, weeds are growing, and some people intentionally plant morning glory, but those are considered weeds for us, especially in the west. But there, obviously a lot of rocks, but here is where I had some lettuce. I had like 5 heads of lettuce sprout, and they got really sizable. And here's a mustard plant, mustard greens that bolted, but these were starting to do really well as well. And it's still doing good. I don't water this. It's on the sprinkler system, so it gets watered on its own. And I didn't do anything to this. I just moved some rocks away off the top so the seeds had somewhere to come up, and that was it. And they grew just fine. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this area right here and do the same thing I did over there. I'm going to sift out the grass or the rocks and add some wood chips into the pile. So that's what, like, kind of control what I did over here. And then for another chunk of it, I'm going to...
Mommy, look at it, it's not growing.
Yeah, I don't know why it's not growing either. Huh, it's baffling. Yeah.
Do you see Mew?
Yep, there's Mew. He's in the shade of the flowers. But in like a chunk as well, I'm going to sift it, but not any wood chips. So get rid of the rocks. And then in another section, I'm just going to leave it as it is. Just push some rocks aside and then plant some seeds and see what happens. Probably gonna plant all the same. Some lettuce, like green spinach. And I'm gonna try some beets and leeks and some cabbage. Nothing, obviously something for the fall or cold hardy. Our first frost date is around the first week of October, here in the Pacific Northwest. So that's what I'm gonna do for now and see how that works. And it's all on a sprinkler system, so it's all gonna be watered the same. So I don't even have to worry about that. So we're gonna try that out, see how that experiment goes. And then we'll see what happens. And if I'm hoping the wood chip thing actually was the problem, so I don't feel so bad about myself, because I am still watering every day and just praying that something will grow. One tomato plant is growing, and that's it. Sunflower, it's been in the ground for 3 months and it's only half a foot high. Like, it should be higher than that, but whatever. Alright, so I planted today, and I did my sifting work yesterday. Didn't bother recording it because I already did a whole video on that. Who wants to see that twice? But here is where I added the wood chips, and here is where I just sifted. And then this spot over here is just the dirt as it is, rocks and all. You can see all the rocks. This soil is super loose and light, and it's really moist too. It's kind of great. This soil was sifted as well and added the wood chips. But if you see the difference, like, this was watered, according to my husband, according to Jeff, this whole bed is watered for 20 minutes every other day on the sprinkler system, and this is the water right here. And this is the wood chips, even though it was watered. It is so dry and so, like, deserty. So I think I might have spotted the problem. And it might not have been my watering. It might not have been, you know, spray in the wood chips. It might just be that it's terrible soil. And maybe the wood chips by themselves aren't great. and I have to mix it up with the other soil if I want to use it anyways. So my predictions is that this one will be the best and that this will produce something. I might reduce the watering time to like 10 minutes because 20 minutes seems a little excessive, but I'll talk to Jeff about that. And then this soil that I didn't sift, where it's all rocky, I can barely stick my finger in to poke holes to plant any seeds. So I'm not hopeful at all for this. But it is what it is. We're getting ready to go out of town and swell our potted plants where the beans are. And I have one tomato sucker that I picked. Right here, it's doing pretty good. But we're gonna go out of town for a little while, and I want them to water itself rather than asking people if they want to come do it. So this is what we're doing, and hopefully by the time we get back some results will happen, and we'll keep you posted.